What's up everyone, and welcome back to Top 5 Central. Today we're looking at the top 5 fake police officers who got exposed. Now, being a cop means you're supposed to be the gold standard of following and enforcing the law, while also being fair and responsible. Because of that, police officers get an immense amount of training so that they're equipped to deal with all sorts of situations. Anyways, today we're counting down some people who, well, tried to say they were cops but really weren't. Now real quick, before we begin the video, make sure you leave a like and I promise you'll get a free crate of bananas. I mean, look at this guy's face when I bought all of them. They're coming, people, so be real patient. But with that said, let's get right into it. Number 5. Now, I'm all for getting involved in the community, especially if it's to make people safer, but I think it's pretty obvious that this woman went way too far. I mean, this chick had police lights on her car, a radar gun, and even a real firearm, but she was literally not involved with the police in any sort of way. She was seriously just a random person who stood on the sidewalk, pulling people over, and sometimes even pointing her gun at them. Like, I know it sounds pretty serious, but some of it's almost funny, because sometimes she'd just yell at people for not putting their dogs on a leash, or she would pull them over just to remind them there was a school nearby. I mean, it's almost sweet, and to be fair, she did think she was a part of the neighborhood watch, but that doesn't mean the town could put up with it. The people finally wrote a letter complaining to the sheriff, so it looks like now she'll be seeing a real policeman's job up close.
She's got the lights, radar gun, and a real gun, and
But
she's pulling people over.
But the problem is, no, it was me. But the problem is, she is not a cop.
Not having their dogs on a leash. Outcry from neighbors in July prompted Santa Fe County Sheriff Greg Solano to send Gordon a letter telling her to knock the antics off. But she didn't. In August, she pulled a driver over on Old Pecos Trail.
Santa Fe 911, where is your emergency?
The man who was pulled over claims Gordon was driving erratically and even shouted at him that he did not use his turn signal. He stopped his car and approached her.
I said, let me see some ID. He said, I'm retired. He had like an NYPD, an old uniform patch in the front window.
The patch wasn't the only cop gear Gordon was reportedly sporting.
Claiming to be a police vehicle. It has a megaphone on it, has blue lights and an antenna.
When the driver called her out for being a fake,
it's alleged that Mika Gordon placed her hand on her firearm that she carries with her.
Gordon does have a concealed carry permit, but her Glock is just one more thing police say she was trying to use to look like the real deal.
Lieutenant Garcia says Gordon was carrying a homemade ID card that said she was with State Police Special Investigations. A grand jury charged Gordon with impersonating an officer, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That's for reaching for her gun, and reckless driving.
Number 4. So I could see how this guy thought he was just playing a dumb prank, but even though he thought he was doing something harmless, the police obviously didn't agree. I mean, he had an app on his phone that displayed red and blue flashing lights, and he was driving around with it on his dashboard pretending to be a cop. Now, there's no way to figure out how many times he's done this, but this one time, it just didn't work out, because he got a really nasty shock when he pulled up next to the car he picked. So yeah, basically the car had 2 off-duty officers inside, and both of them flashed their badges when he showed up. And so yeah, he ended up getting arrested and taken to the police station, which probably wasn't what he expected when he tried to play such a stupid joke. Anyway, it was the police who got the last laugh in the end, and they said that they would do the same to any other fakers they found. So yeah, I guess don't pretend to impersonate law enforcement. That's a pretty solid idea if you ask me.
Now at 6, the dangers of deception. A Fort Wayne man faces charges for pretending to be a police officer. Good evening, I'm Heather Herron. Mark has the night off. Chad Vogely heads to court tomorrow morning. According to court documents, the 20-year-old tried to pull over some off-duty police officers using an app on
Last week, he drove behind a car on Rothman Road, holding above his dashboard what police say looked like a phone displaying red and blue flashing lights. He drove up beside that car laughing, but the mood changed when he saw what he may not have expected. An off-duty officer flashed his badge. Police caught up with Vogely and arrested him for impersonating.
Number 3. So what do you do if you get dumped by your partner? Well, everyone deals with it differently, but I'm pretty sure no normal person responds to it like this. Basically, this chick wanted to get revenge on her ex for breaking up with her, but instead of leaving like an angry Facebook message or egging his house, she decided on something way more extreme. Basically, she teamed up with a friend who worked as a security guard, and the two of them got together to make fake policeman disguises. When they were happy with them, they found the ex and robbed him, telling him that they needed his phone, his wallet, and everything else for a case. The crazy thing is though, the ex actually believed him and let them get away with all of his stuff. I mean, I can't actually blame the guy either, because their replica guns looked totally convincing, and they had real tasers and batons on them too. I mean, me being me, I wouldn't mess with a cop with all that gear, especially if I was all by myself.
Police in Santa Ana say these two people are behind bars, arrested for their role in a phony police officer scheme. The story basically is, well, Chip Yost is going to give us the rest.
Yeah, impersonating police officers.
Of the ex-girlfriend we're talking about, her name is Rosa Tanako. According to police, she had broken up with a guy recently, was not happy about it, also needed money, so she recruited another guy. You're going to see a picture of him. That's Jose Paredes. And apparently they came up with a scheme to use some of the tools of the trade that this guy used, the guy she recruited, and his job as a security guard, to pull off a scheme acting as if they were cops. He and another guy, they go up to her ex-boyfriend, approach him using they're using a patrol car, a car that looks like a patrol car. They've got all these things with them, guns that look like real guns, badges that look like real. So then they proceeded to rob the victim. They took some money, a cell phone, his wallet. There is one more suspect out there. There was a second person posing as a police officer with this other man they already have in custody, so they're still looking for him. They're also trying to find out if there may be more victims out there because they think they may have used this scheme on other people here in and around.
Number 2. I don't know what it is about fake cops constantly pulling over real cops, because apparently it happens pretty regularly. This time though, the fake cops were actually a couple and using a red and blue strobe light to trick people into thinking their patrol car was legit. The thing is, they accidentally picked the wrong target and ended up trying to flag down an off-duty sergeant. Now he clearly knew it was fake and called 911 straight away, and even when the couple flashed a spotlight into his window, he still refused to pull over. So yeah, when their trick didn't work, they tried speeding away, but the officer actually followed and eventually caught up with them. Looking in the car confirmed everything, because they had replica guns and torches, and even a couple of wallets that they had stolen from earlier victims. The thing is, it seems like a super complicated way to go about robbing people, so I'm honestly surprised it's so popular, aren't you?
An Orange County couple is behind bars. They're accused of impersonating police officers. Police say they were in what looked like a patrol car. Their big mistake was who they tried to pull over. CBS 2 Orange County reporter Michelle Gili has
from the Irvine Police Department, who called 911 to say very early this morning, someone in a black Crown Victoria, which looks very much like a police car, tried to stop him, tried to get him to pull over by shining a blue and red strobe light into his window. The officer refused. He told the 911 operator that driver then flashed a spotlight into his window. The officer still wouldn't pull over, and then that driver raced past him. But officials say 26-year-old Armando Hernandez Perez couldn't get away. The off-duty sergeant followed him, still talking to 911. The CHP caught up with Perez and his 20-year-old accomplice, April Lopez Fabian. When officers searched the car, they found this: replica guns, flashlights, strobes, and a couple of wallets that belonged to someone else. Authorities can't speculate on a motive, but in similar cases,
past incidents, there have been, odds are, most of the time it's a robbery or something.
Okay, here's our honorable mention. So this guy really was involved in law enforcement once upon a time, but he ended up getting on the wrong side of the law pretty quickly. Basically, he was fired from his job as a sheriff's reserve when the sheriff found out he was impersonating a police officer, but obviously letting him go didn't help. In fact, after he lost his job, he started doing it more and more, and eventually tried to pull over the wrong guy on the highway. It turns out the guy he shone a spotlight on was an officer on his way to work, who immediately called for backup to bring the impersonator down. I mean, it's super dumb, like the faker ended up getting pulled over himself, and what they found inside his car was shocking. Like, he didn't just have all the things necessary to fake being a cop, he also had a car stuffed with weapons like shotguns, handguns, rifles, and boxes of ammo. I mean, honestly, if you're gonna pretend to be an officer, having all that stuff in your car is kind of a dead giveaway that you're not.
Monday night, a Summit County man is getting onto I-76 West near Arlington Street outside Akron when he encounters 50-year-old David Schofield, who is behind the wheel of what appears to be a police cruiser, complete with a spotlight, antennas, and a sticker on the trunk that reads, Police Intercept.
He has a uniform shirt, he has a bulletproof vest. What they didn't realize until later was the vehicle was full of all kinds of weapons. I mean, he had a cache of handguns, rifles, he had shotguns, he had silencers, he had, boxes of ammunition. Everything that you or I would see would think this is a police officer.
David Schofield told investigators he is a gun dealer, but he did not have an explanation for trying to pull over a motorist on a busy interstate. Schofield was charged with impersonating a police officer and impersonating an officer with the intention of making an arrest.
It's makes you feel uneasy thinking that there's somebody out there that's portraying themselves as a policeman and then trying to stop people. Like I said, he had a car full of guns. Who knows what he'd have done.
Number 1. Okay, I've got to admit, most of these people have had pretty convincing disguises, and I'd have trouble figuring out if any of them were actually real cops. But with that said, this guy went above and beyond to appear as much like a real officer as possible, and it is literally impossible to tell the difference. Like, his car had lights in all the right places and police stickers on the back, but this guy went way further than that. His car also had like a dash cam and a prisoner cage in the back, as well as all the tech you'd expect to see inside. So obviously there's no doubting that, and his costume was almost perfect as well. But he was eventually caught when police officers spotted him at a gas station at 3 a.m. and were immediately suspicious when they saw what he was driving. With that said, there's no telling how many people he tricked, and he must have been doing his act for a while since his car was so decked out.
Badges, loaded weapons, a scanner, and handcuffs. All items found on 27-year-old Mark Polini, the man Atascadero police arrested for impersonating an officer.
Seated in the driver's seat, wearing all black, a black BDU pant with a dark black shirt, and he was also wearing a baseball cap with a CHP logo on it.
Around 3 a.m., police found Polini parked near a gas station inside this black Crown Victoria, complete with front and rear strobe lights, a siren, police labels, and a dashboard camera.
Prisoner cage. What was particularly of interest or of note to us is the extent that this individual went to outfit his vehicle. More concerning not with the exterior but the interior.
If they come in a uniform, I expect them to be who they perceive them to be.
You know, I wouldn't be able to tell personally if that was real.
And there's our video on the top 5 fake police officers who got exposed. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe so you see whenever I upload a video. Also, if you're on top 5 or top 10 ideal, feel free to use your Extremely Handy form in the description to submit it. With that said, thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.